Hello fellow developers, my name is Warwick Wright and I'm back again with another update to my HacerGestoV2 library. For those of you who have never watched this video before, HacerGestoV2 is actually an open source gesture library for the Android platform that allows you to use 4 simul gestures at the same time, all with advanced behavioural flags, and the gestures can be used in any combination with any of those flags. So I'll start out by just tapping the centre and showing the 4 gestures working together. Okay, so you've got a move there, you've got a fling, and you've got the scale. At the moment, the rotate needs to be in 2-finger mode when you're actually using all the gesture scales. So I'll quickly put this in 2-finger mode, like that. And go back to here, and as you see, you can now rotate, scale, rotate at the same time. You can fling, like that, and you can scale. Okay, I'm going to show you all the behaviours now for the different gestures. I'm going to start out with a rotation gesture. Okay, the reason why I've actually uploaded this video again is because I've added a few new behaviours, and those new behaviours are variable dial, variable dial curve, and fling to spin. You can actually fling the gesture now, fling the rotate to actually make it go into a mad spin. Okay, we'll start out of all these behaviours to show you what they do. First of all, you've got rotate cumulatively. We'll put it in single finger mode for the time being. Rotate cumulative means that when you put your finger down, the dial doesn't move until you actually move your finger. When you take cumulative off, put your finger down, and it will rotate directly to the angle where your finger goes down. Quite straightforward there. Put that back in cumulative again, and let's do the same again. Okay, single finger does what it says in the box. One finger down doesn't move, put second finger down, and it moves. Nice and simple. Put back into single finger mode. This is the gesture sensitivity here. So, for example, at the moment it's in 1, which means for every circular gesture I make with my finger, the dial rotates exactly once. If I change that to say 1.8, then that will actually rotate faster, 1.8 times for every circular gesture I make. Quite straightforward. That can be a negative number, say minus 0.9, like that. That'll rotate in the opposite direction of the gesture. I'll put that back to 1.2 for the time being. Angle snapping, that's quite simple, self-explanatory. Snaps. You watch closely there, you'll notice it's rotating freely between snaps. That's because this has a proximity setting, which is these numbers here. Now these numbers are the angles for the angle snapping. The angles in this library are expressed in ratios of 0 to 1 rather than 360. So that represents 45 degrees, that's 1/4 of that. If this number over here is 1/2 or more of this, then there'll be no free rotation between snap events. So I'll show you that. I'll go 0. Just make it the same number. It can be any number or higher. So what will happen now is, with the angle snapping on, there'll be no free rotations between snaps. Okay, so I'll put that back to where it was before. 0.03125. And as you can see again, that's snapping, rotating freely between snaps. Obviously that can be any number, so you can have more rotation between snaps or less, or whatever you want. So we'll take the angle snapping off for the time being. Min-max constraints, pretty self-explanatory. That will prevent it from rotating to the left less than 2.56, and to the right, say 3.05, for example. So that will constrain at those boundaries. You'll get to that angle, and it will stop rotating, even though I'm still moving my finger. The library will detect when I reverse my finger, it will go rotate the other way, and it will clip at the other bounds. Nice and simple there. Take that off. Incidentally, literally all of these behaviours can work in literally any combination. They've all been tested, and they will work together in perfect harmony. I'm not going to show you every combination, because I don't want to bore you. Variable dial. This is one of the new behaviours. What this does now is the rotation now detects how close you're rotating to the centre of the dial. It rotates faster when you rotate to the centre of the dial and slower on the outside. So when I'm rotating close to the centre with these settings, it'll rotate 4.5 times for every gesture and slow down to the outside. So go like that. As you can see, it's rotating nice and slow to the outside. As I move close to the centre, the rotation rate increases and decreases when you come to the outside. Those can be any numbers. They can be negative numbers. You can even have 1 negative and 1 minus. You can do all kind of weird stuff with that. So -2 and +2. That'll do something quite strange. That'll rotate that way, get closer. It'll slowly stop and actually reverse. So we'll put that in for the time being. We'll put that back to 4.5, and we'll put 0 at 0 for the time being. So as you can, it's more or less 0 on the outside. Okay. Now variable dial curve. To explain what a variable dial curve does, I have to put the inner precision to something very high. So as you can see there on the outside, that's such a high precision, it's very hard to have control over the exact angle. variable dial curve causes the precision to accelerate and decelerate on a curve. So I put that on, and as you can see, I can still move it very, very slowly to the outside, because it actually accelerates and decelerates on a curve now. So that's why that behavior was actually added. Positive curve just causes it to decelerate to the outside, and that accelerates to the outside. It's quite straightforward. Now I'm going to show you the Fling behavior, which is mega cool behavior here. So we'll do here, enable Fling. The Fling settings are down here. These are the Fling tolerances. So to recognize a Fling, I've got to move my hand, say my finger 150 pixels, and release it in say 200 milliseconds or less to be recognized as a Fling. Then it will start spinning at the rate of 10 rotations per second, and it will slow down to 0 rotations per second over the space of 5,000 milliseconds or 5 seconds. So we'll show you that now. A little fling. There you go. That'll fling for 5 seconds and it'll slowly slow down. Okay, we'll try and do it a bit slower than that in a minute, and you can capture it, put your finger down. So what we're going to do that. You can do other things as well with this one. For example, we'll put the 0 there and 10 there, which will make it speed up, start slow, which is kind of a weird thing. Slow and speed up. It'll stop after 5 seconds. Now what you can do here is if you actually set both of these numbers to 0, the library will actually detect how fast you flung the object, and it will spin at that speed. So for example, if I go like this, see how slowly that's spinning, spin it a bit faster, or to the middle really fast, boom, and it goes into a mad spin like that. So it's quite a handy little behavior. So that basically summarizes all of those behaviors there. So I'll leave this spin on. I'll leave it. Oh yeah, all the behaviors act together. Say for example, if I put min max on and go like that, it'll spin and it'll stop at the boundaries. Or for example, if I go to put the angle snap on, take that off, and there you go. You can see it's actually snapping while the fling's in motion. So all kinds of weird stuff there. So we'll leave the angle snap on for the time being. We'll turn the fling off. Put into 2-finger mode. For the time being, I'm going to show you the scale gesture, simple scale gesture there. You've got a few settings there. Scale snapping, and that will snap to say every 135 pixels, and you can actually have a minimum, maximum kind of scale factor, for example. So we'll have scale snapping for the time being. See it's snapping while it's scaling. Take that off, and then it's not snapping. You can disable it obviously, so it's not going anywhere. All the gestures can actually be disabled. And min-max constraint, so that'll go down to 0.5 and go up to 4.5, and take that off and it'll scale as much as you want. It's pretty straightforward stuff. So I'm going to do, I'll leave that as it is for the time being. Move, simple move, put your finger down, moves. A couple of settings here, move cumulatively, non-cumulative, put your finger down, it moves directly to where my finger goes down and moves from there. Cumulatively means put a finger down and it moves relative to the touch. Move snap, snap it in the corners. The underlying library, you can program it so that you can have as many snap points as you want, and each snap point can have its own distance tolerance, which is a useful little feature. Obviously, again, you can disable the gestures like that. Leave the move snap on and then move cumulative for the time being. Okay, and we go to fling. Fling gesture here. Bring up the settings. This is the tolerance here, so same as the scale. I have to move my finger, say 150 pixels in 200 milliseconds. I've got move my finger 200 pixels in 150 pixels and release it in 200 milliseconds or less for it to be recognized as fling. And that's the length of the fling animation there. I'll change that to a ridiculously long fling, so the fling animation will last 2.5 seconds. So we'll do that. As you can see, that flings off the edge, or I go fling to edge, fling to the edge, and stop there. We can cancel fling in progress by putting your finger down, fling to nearest corner, that'll fling to the nearest corner, despite the directional line exactly in the corner. Combine those flags like fling to the nearest corner and off the edge, and that'll go off the edge in the same time frame. Fling to the nearest edge, so that'll fling in a straight line. And again, disable the gesture. It's quite straightforward. So we'll leave that as it is. And I'm going to show you the real magic. All 4 gestures working together simultaneously in harmony. So put that down there. You can fling it, bring it down, scale, rotate it. And as you can see, the rotation snapping, because obviously I left the rotation snap on over here. So you can combine these flags with any of the gestures. So if I take the angle snapping off, and I know, say for example, we put it in rotate cumulatively like that. That'll do some weird stuff to rotate cumulatively. So like that. As you can see, it snapped when my finger went down. So all the flags work together. That's probably not the most intuitive combination, but I'll show you some cool, interesting behaviors. Like for example, if I go put in single figure mode, rotate cumulatively, and say put the move in non-cumulative mode, that does something quite strange. So like that, put my finger down, and the reason why it's doing that is because of the way the flags are actually set. So yeah, I can actually fling it like that. You can see, and it moves snappings on, so it's snapping into the corners, and still scaling and rotating. Okay, we'll go to, let's turn this fling on, for example, and I'll go like this, and we'll fling, there you go, like that. Sometimes you can actually, there you go, see, it's flinging, and both the move fling and the scale fling actually works at the same time there, which is some cool stuff. You go over here, you can say, turn the move off, for example, go there, and there you go, it's scaling, rotating, and flinging, but it's not moving. So you can actually turn literally anything on, anything off. So for example, I can turn that fling off, leave the rotate fling on, put that in snapping mode, and there you go. All those flags will persist. Yeah, scale is snapping. The rotate's not snapping, like that, for example. But the rotate is flinging. Put your finger down. So literally any combination will work together. So this is a pretty cool library. It's got loads of intuitive callbacks. So what I'm going to do, when I upload this video to YouTube, I will be publishing obviously the location, the Bitbucket open source repository. If you go to that repo, you'll find a couple of other libraries there. I've got a really cool dial library, one using HGL, one using extended views and canvas, which is really cool. I say thank you for watching my video. Please give me some feedback, much appreciated. Also, I've added to the open source repository, I've added a little PayPal donate button. So if any of you guys want to support the open source cause, that would be much appreciated. So I will bid you adieu.